Hey everybody, welcome to VR Game Rankings. This, of course, is episode 82 of the Daily Vlog series. It is Tuesday, January 23rd, and I gotta say, folks, the news is rather light today, so we are gonna kind of zig when everyone else is zagging. We're gonna go in a little bit of a different direction today. Also, this is probably going to be one of our shorter episodes, which is fine, I think, because yesterday, Monday's episode 81, was really long. Didn't want to have an episode that long. Honestly, I can go off script real quick here and say that I kind of would like to get the episodes down into like somewhere between about 17 minutes and around like 23 minutes, somewhere in that range. So I'd like to be, around 21 minutes long, 19 minutes, 18 minutes, somewhere kind of in there is where I would like to go with the future of this show. I'm starting to agree with a lot of the people out there that have said that some of these shows are just too damn long, that you don't have time to watch this like it's a half an hour TV news program every single day of the week. And I completely understand that. And so I do want to kind of trim these shows a little bit and kind of get the time down a little bit so that it's more in the 20-ish minute range and not up there at 28 minutes, 29 minutes, 27 minutes, stuff like that. And yesterday's episode was a little bit on the long side, but I really did. I did want to talk about Primordian. I did want to talk about Sprint Vector, and I thought those discussions were pretty good. And I'll definitely be talking about more of those games in the future. And also, there are some more games that I want to get into. Contagion, the demo Contagion, I played a little bit of that yesterday. I want to play some more of that. I'm not going to talk about that today, but tomorrow I might talk about some more of that. And there are some other games that I'm going to be getting my hands on really soon here, and I'll have a lot more game discussion to talk about. But today's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so what are we going to get into today? Well, I wanted to actually touch on a little bit of some of the non-gaming stuff that has been going on recently. And basically, we can look to Sundance, the Sundance Film Festival, and the Sundance New Horizons, which is a part of Sundance where they are covering basically new technology, new ways of storytelling with both virtual reality and augmented reality. And this is really shaping up to be an interesting area in the world of storytelling. This is a brand new canvas that a lot of creators are being able to work with. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that is going to come out of all of this. And most importantly, we have to get beyond this idea that virtual reality is just something for gamers. Now, obviously, we are VR Game Rankings, and we are all about gaming, and that is our focus. But at the same time, we have to understand that if virtual reality is going to break out into the mainstream, if we're going to get all the incredible games that we really want to get, virtual reality, AR, all of it, it has to go a hell of a lot more mainstream than it is right now. Because right now it is dominated by males. Not a hell of a lot of females are using this stuff. It is mostly men that are using this stuff, and it's mostly men between a particular age group, and it's mostly gamers. And we're going to have to break out of that. We're going to have to expand. We're going to have to go to that blue ocean philosophy that Nintendo likes to think about a lot. And we have to expand it. And one of the ways that we can do this is with non-gaming entertainment in VR. And that's basically what the Sundance New Horizon or New Frontiers exhibition is all about. And now I talked previously on another episode about Wolves in the Walls, which is coming from Fable Studio. This, of course, was Oculus Story Studios. They have now, they've been broken apart. Oculus Story Studios has basically been shut down, but a lot of former members formed Fable Studio, and they are bringing out Wolves in the Walls, at least part one of Wolves in the Walls. But we've already covered that, but I thought maybe I could cover a couple other interesting things that were shown off at the New Frontiers exhibition or New Frontier exhibition. So the first one I'll get into is Masters of the Sun. Okay, so Masters of the Sun, I believe this is sponsored by Oculus. And this is a pretty interesting idea because this is a mixture of comic books with the VR medium. And so what this goes back to is there is a comic book that is called Masters of the Sun, The Zombie Chronicles. Now, this is created by will.i.am, and it's created with the help of author Benjamin Jackendoff and illustrator Damian Scott. And so there is this comic book out there that you can get, which is called Masters of the Sun, The Zombie Chronicles. And so what this production is, Masters of the Sun, this VR production, it is a will.i.am production, and it's featuring the Black Eyed Peas along with music from Hans Zimmer and will.i.am. And it's going to be this interesting mashup of comic books, maybe a little bit of a music video kind of in it as well. And then this different style taking advantage of what VR brings to the table. And one of the things that we're going to get into with a lot of these different productions is all of this is uncharted waters. A lot of these creators, they're not sure exactly where this is going. And part of this is going to make for a very exciting time in the VR industry from a standpoint of we really don't know how all of this is going to shake out. So everybody just has to kind of throw stuff at the wall, and they have to see what sticks, see what works, see what doesn't work. And so will.i.am is a creative individual. I mean, let's give the guy some respect. He's doing a lot of different things. He's out there making a lot of things happen. And this is another project that he's making happen, and it is sponsored by Oculus. Now, I did read an article about this. This was Devendra Hardawar of Engadget. He was talking about all these experiences that I'm going to be talking about now. So the link to this article will be in the episode notes. You can go ahead and check that out, and you can go ahead and bounce over to Engadget and be able to check out this article. But Devendra Hardawar, he was able to demo a bunch of these different experiences, and he talked about Masters of the Sun, and he said basically, so it's like these comic book panels, and that you look at various characters or objects, and your gaze, you focus your gaze on a character or an object, and that basically kicks off the next segment of that story. And that's how you kind of go through it. And that there are also these different points in the story where you get a first person perspective from some of the various characters. And that's, of course, the interesting thing that VR brings to it, is it can put you in the shoes of different people in different situations. VR has often been described as an empathy machine where, you can place yourself in the shoes of other people. You can see things from other people's points of view. And so that's going to be interesting. So this, of course, is Masters of the Sun. This is sponsored by Oculus. It will obviously be coming to the Oculus store at some point. We do not have a date. Unfortunately, actually, with all of these things that I'm going to be talking about here, we don't actually have dates on any of this stuff, but all of it is expected to come at some point this year. So we'll keep our eyes open for Masters of the Sun. Okay, another one that Devendra Hardawar got a demo of was Space Explorers, The Next Frontier. And this is coming from Felix and Paul Studios. Now, one of the things that we talk about with VR often is that 360 videos are kind of crap. They're not really worth much. It's probably not a great idea to go with 360 videos because the resolution gets so watered down. You're trying to take this world and you're trying to spread it around this 360-degree sphere that is going all around you. And when you do that, you're going to water it down, and the resolution is not going to be very high. Everything's going to be kind of blocky. So 360 video is kind of lame, right? Well, I don't know. Felix and Paul Studios have done a pretty damn good job with their various 360 videos that they've worked on. In fact, you may have tried An Introduction to Virtual Reality, which is by Felix and Paul Studios. This is available on the Oculus Store. It's been around for a long time. And this is one I've mentioned a number of times because there's one point in Introduction to Virtual Reality where they have like these tribal guys that are basically juggling flaming torches. And that part, it's a black background with a tribal guy like juggling these flaming torches. And it is incredibly impressive. I mean, the dude looks like he's standing like 3 feet away from you. It looks really realistic. It looks really good. And so I've seen portions of 360 video that have looked absolutely outstanding. So I'm not willing to throw it all away. So I am interested in Space Explorers: The Next Frontier. So what is Felix and Paul doing in regards to this particular video? Well, obviously what they're doing here is they're kind of giving you an inside look at what astronauts are having to go through to try to prepare for possibly some of these Mars missions that are going to be happening in the next several decades. And so astronauts are training right now in very harsh conditions in various settings to try to get acclimated to this idea of taking that next trip to Mars. And so this is what this feature is all about, Space Explorers: The Next Frontier, and kind of giving you an idea of what these astronauts are going to go through in their hopes to eventually maybe be on the very first Mars mission, the very first manned Mars mission from Earth, which is going to be incredible. So looking forward to checking out this 360 video when it finally does hit. Obviously I believe this is sponsored by Oculus as well. So this is another thing that is going to be coming to Oculus. Again, we do not have dates for this stuff. So it's just stuff we're going to keep our eyes on. And then the last one that Devendra Hardawar mentioned was Sphere's Songs of Spacetime. And okay, this project is coming to us from Eliza McNitt. Now, she previously had a VR project called Fistful of Stars. And Fistful of Stars kind of shows us what it's like when a star is born, and the birth of a star and the creation of a star. And this new project, Sphere's Songs of Spacetime, is actually completely opposite to that. Now, this is the death of a star and kind of the creation of a black hole. And so that's kind of what you're going to be seeing in this experience. And then at a certain part of this experience, you're actually going to take on the role of a black hole yourself, and you're going to be waving your hands around and consuming these planets that are just outside of your reach and drawing them into the pool of your black hole. And then your black hole is going to combine with another black hole, and it's all part of this experience called Sphere's Songs of Spacetime. And this is also coming from Oculus. So we've talked about Oculus. You know, they're spending a lot of money. They did have $250 million that was earmarked for games and also media experiences like this as well. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to kickstart all of this development. They're trying to bring this interesting content out there so that kind of get it up and running, and then hopefully they can back off and let it go and it's still up and running. And obviously we eventually need to find a way to make all of this feasible and economical for the point when Oculus steps away and they're no longer giving away all this money to have all this stuff made. And these people are going to have to make this stuff on their own, and they're going to have to make it viable. And so I think us as VR consumers, we need to look at what the best of this stuff is, and we need to vote with our wallets and actually kick out some money for some of this stuff, pay some money for some of this stuff, support it, and then hopefully we can broaden the overall VR market. So anyway, this was this article that Devendra Hardawar had on Engadget where he was talking about the New Frontiers exhibition, and it was Wolves in the Walls, Masters of the Sun, Space Explorers: The Next Frontier, and Sphere's Songs of Spacetime. These were the four main things that he talked about in that article. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight those four features And we'll keep our eyes on them as we move forward, and we'll look forward to the release dates and see how those ultimately turn out when we get our hands on them. Okay, so speaking of non-game VR productions, there is actually something that is available today. It is the first day that it is available, and this is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. There is a new VR feature that is available today. And you can go to, this is available on Vive, Daydream, Oculus Rift, and Oculus and Gear VR. It's available on all 4 of those. And you can get this on Viveport if you're looking for it for the HTC Vive. I did go to the Oculus store to see if this was available already, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I did not find it on the Oculus store before taping this episode, but supposedly this is going to be out today. So supposedly we should be able to find this on the Oculus store at some point today. I don't believe it's on Steam, but I haven't checked that either. And now there is a thread about this experience that is on the Vive subreddit. And a couple people have got in there and have been able to actually try this out. And there is some unfortunate news. This does appear to be nothing more than basically a 360 video experience. And it's not even stereoscopic either. It's not legitimate 3D stereoscopic. And this one guy mentioned that as long as you didn't move your head whatsoever, everything was fine. But if you moved your head even just a couple of inches, it was absolutely vomit inducing. And he said that he could only stay in this for about 5 minutes and he had to yank the headset off and couldn't handle it anymore. So I don't know, maybe this isn't a very good 360 video to take a look at, but I still would like to get in there and maybe try it later today if it does end up on the Oculus store. So you might want to take a look for that. And then the last little news story I have today, like I said, today is pretty light, not a lot of stuff going on, is I wanted to mention Meta 2. So this story came out, I believe, over the weekend, or maybe it was a little bit later in the week, last week, but Dell has partnered with Meta 2, with Meta, and they're going to be selling the Meta 2 dev kits in February. So we talk a lot about Magic Leap and HoloLens. They're very well known in the AR space. These are considered like the 2 biggest AR competitors out there. But there's other companies as well. We have Avegant, of course. They have their light field technology headset that they're working on. And then we have Meta 2. Now, we haven't heard too much about Meta 2 in quite some time, but they are going to be having this AR, their Meta 2 AR dev kit is going to be available on Dell. Now, this, of course, is targeted at professionals. It's targeted at developers. It's targeted at people that are in the AR space, that are developing things in the AR space, and they want to get one of these dev kits. It's going to go for $1,500 on February 15th. So this is definitely not cheap, and it's not really intended for end-level consumers. And you got to remember that the Meta 2 is a tethered headset. This is a headset that is actually going to connect to your PC. There is going to be a wire that's going to run to your PC. Now, the good news about Meta 2 is it has the largest FOV of any of the AR headsets out there. It's about 90 degrees, way larger than any of the other AR headsets. And it's able to do this by using a single 2560 by 1440 LCD panel, which is displaying on 2 large semi-spherical combiners. Okay, so the Meta 2, if you might have seen it, it is kind of bulbous. You know, I talk about some of these AR headsets are very bulbous, kind of HoloLens, you know, almost like a bug when you're wearing it. It's got this big round thing on the front, and the Meta 2 is very much like that, but it does have this 90-degree field of view, which is very interesting. It is a tethered headset. So honestly, we don't really know if this is going to be a legitimate competitor in this space with HoloLens and with Magic Leap, but it is something to keep track of. So anyway, folks, definitely a different show today. Once again, not a ton of news, not a ton of like exciting VR gaming news to talk about, but I will talk about Contagion tomorrow, and I might have some other stuff tomorrow as well, and we'll see what other news pops up as well. But that's going to go ahead and do it. This has been episode 82 of the VR Game Rankings Daily Vlog series for Tuesday, January 23rd. And I will see everybody tomorrow on Wednesday. Take it easy. Have a good one. Later.